This is the Itel P70 and it can last up to a month without charging. How is that possible? Well, we are going to answer that later on in this video because that's not the only amazing thing about this phone. There are still a lot of things which I didn't expect to see, such as a more improved display as well as the most powerful chipset ever put on an Itel phone. You can currently get this phone right now in the market for about 140,000 naira or $85. So let's see whether Itel has finally made the best budget phone money can buy, or whether there are still better phones you can get at this price point. But before we continue, kindly smash that subscribe button for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much. Firstly, what do you get in the box? You are actually going to receive two boxes upon purchasing the phone. The first box is a more tinier box and that contains what is supposed to be the extra battery case, which contains an additional 4000 mAh. More on that in a bit. The main box contains the Itel P70 itself, and beneath that is a hard plastic case which has these air cushioning pads at the corners. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of hard cases, but I guess some of you might still use them. And after that, you get a USB-C cable and a fast charging brick. No earphones this time. And here's the phone. The first thing you notice when you first unbox this phone is how well designed it is. This is a very cheap phone and I thought Itel might cut corners with design and build quality. But that isn't the case. Sporting a plastic finish, this phone feels very sturdy and premium. The camera module is also nearly flush with the body, which is nice to see because it won't wobble on your tables or desks. The smartphone is also palm friendly. It's not exactly the lightest phone, weighing about 196 grams, which climbs up to about 300 plus grams when you add the extra case, but it shouldn't be too much of a disturbance. But what impressed me the most about this phone's design is how durable it is. This is probably the first Itel budget phone where Itel claims it has drop resistance to an extent. And it also supports IP54 dust and splash proof rating, which protects it from accidental water splashes and the likes. Should you dip it in water? I definitely do not recommend that. All in all, this is amazing design and build quality for the price. Good job Itel. There are also a bunch of neat external features on the phone. You get a set of mono speakers which are quite loud but lacks any sort of crunchiness, so it kind of feels flat. There is a side mounted fingerprint scanner which unlocks the phone quite precisely, although not as fast as I would like. You also get an IR blaster which is located in the third camera bump at the phone's rear. I initially thought the phone had 3 cameras. Then we turn to display. How good is it? Well, this phone comes with a 6.67 inch 720p IPS panel with a 120Hz refresh rate. Now, there's something which display has that other phones at a similar price point don't. This phone is pretty sharp with HD resolution. It has a 120Hz refresh rate, so scrolling and navigating the user interface should be pretty smooth, though I find it to be quite inconsistent unlike the others. The display did well by providing a hole punch cutout, which is nice to see, although the bezels are still pretty large. But at the end of the day, this is still a budget phone. However, whilst most budget phones at this price cap at about 500 to 550 nits of brightness, this phone goes up to 700 nits, which though isn't exactly usable under direct sunlight, can still give you a clue of what you are doing. So the display might be good. What about performance, as this is obviously the most important aspect of a smartphone. I initially expected Itel to roll out another stupid Unisoc chipset like they did on almost every other smartphone, but they surprised me. This phone is the first Itel budget phone to come with a MediaTek processor, and I was really excited. Behind this phone is the MediaTek Helio G50 Ultimate, and it's probably the best processor ever put on an Itel phone. The last Itel phone to bring a different chipset from Unisoc was the S24 from almost 2 years ago, so this is clearly a big deal. It's still an entry level chipset, so you should expect it to run very basic titles like browsing or social media. It's clearly not for heavy duty games. A bit of Subway Surfers and Tempura will do just fine. The Itel P70 also comes with a maximum of 256GB of internal storage and 8GB of RAM, which can be expanded by memory fusion. So you can store a lot of stuff here. But if somehow that isn't still sufficient, you can put in an external SD card. What I'm trying to say is that you should keep your expectations to a minimum. Heavy duty games are unplayable and it's quite disappointing, especially if you're a hardcore gamer. but this is at $85. We shouldn't be exactly surprised. Now, the hardware is one thing, but the software is the other. So how good is the software? Well, like I said, it's pretty good. This phone runs on Itel OS 14 slapped on Android 14 Go edition, and this is a very clean piece of software. It's very light and simple to navigate. Ads are minimal and bloatware isn't an issue, as a lot of apps can be uninstalled easily. Customization options is also very limited. You can only change the wallpapers and much smaller details. This is only a light software, so don't expect it to be super customizable like that of, say, the Itel S25 Ultra. And it doesn't have any sort of software support, which I also expected. Before we talk about the key feature of this phone, which absolutely blew me away, let's take a look at those cameras. The Itel P70 comes with a single 30MP camera with an 8MP selfie camera. The photos are pretty good. In-harsh lighting is also surprisingly consistent. The video on both the rear and front is capped out at 1080p 30 frames per second, which is the end result of such a low-end budget smartphone. All these specs will have made this phone just another pretty good budget phone for less than $100. However, one key feature makes it stand out from the others. This phone comes with a massive 6000 mAh battery, which is already insane, as a 5000 mAh cell is already good enough. But Itel didn't stop there and provided a battery case which arrives in a separate box. That case contains 4000 mAh of power, and when you add it to this phone, you get a total of 10,000 mAh. Wow. Now, there's a lot of benefits of having this case. It slightly adds to the phone's weight, but it's not very chunky as it's pretty slim. Itel managed to build in a speaker and a Type-C port, which will charge the case and the phone at the same time. And the standby life of this phone is about 30 days, so if you're just checking the time on the phone, it can easily last a month without needing to charge again. This charging case is also limited, so if you take a while to buy this phone, you might not get it. When it comes to the charging, unfortunately we are just getting 18W fast charging, which isn't inspiring, especially when you consider how much there is to fill up. Itel still made up for that by adding reverse wired charging, which means this phone can charge an iPhone, and that puts its 10,000 mAh battery to good use. My key takeaway of this phone is that at the end of the day, it's still an entry level phone with entry level specs, so you shouldn't expect groundbreaking features. However, for the price you are paying, you are getting much more than you are paying for, like the better chipset, the brighter display, and the next level battery life. So do I recommend it? For people who will be fine with it, like old people and little children, yes. But for you and me, definitely no. Did you know that the Itel P70 isn't the only phone released now? Tecno's Camon 40 series is trending right now, and in this video right here I covered every new phone being released in that series. Click the card on the screen and I'll tell you all about it.